All right, all aboard. The
Yeah.
It's the wrong transportation.
All aboard. Choo choo.
All aboard. Taxi.
Taxi. Well, we're
Uh,
taxiing. Taxi now. We're taking off.
all the different transportation. Now we're on a
Yeah.
plane onto a new journey here.
Mm.
If you missed it, we previously introduced a new series on the channel called Palate, where we're going to be finding a random TV pilot, diving in, watching just the first episode of a random show we've never seen, and then we're going to decide, is it cleared for takeoff or flight risk, in our opinion. And we're going
Hmm.
to have a scale that we're going to put it on. We'll each have our own part in it. We don't have to compromise or anything. We'll each put it on the scale wherever we
We
want.
aren't compromising our values for
That's
for
right.
this
Not for
show.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not for nothing. So
That's
essentially, a
right.
scale. We'll get to that at the end.
Hmm.
We'll talk about the episode, whatever, our thoughts on it. So you'll have a general sense of our thoughts on it, but then we'll
Right.
nail it down into the scale at the end. All right.
Yep.
So this time around,
Our
Firefly
first
Lane.
flight. That's our first flight. Is Firefly Lane.
Firefly
There it
Lane is our
is, right
first
here.
flight, and particular, it's called "Hello Yellow Brick Road" is the name of the episode.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
available on
Which is a
Netflix. Firefly Lane.
play on Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I
Yeah.
guess. Which is the song that plays at the very end. The song
Yeah.
plays at the very end of the episode. So
All right. What do you think,
um,
Alec?
I didn't not like it, but I wasn't like overly enthused by it. It was like I didn't realize, because I think we talked about it during, I think we sort of talked about it when we were talking about where it was said it was soapy. It was one of the adjectives, I guess, for it. Which I didn't really get that until like maybe the last third or maybe even the last
Ooh,
quarter of the
they
episode,
hit
and
you
then I
with it
was
at
like,
the end with the
and I
soap.
was like, oh man, this is a soap opera and a half right here. I was like, ooh, we got some stuff going on. I what was that?
Freaky.
That sounded like that sounded okay for a sec there. I thought that was like like it sounded like a guitar griff. So man, yeah, I like aspects of it. I really liked. I'm assuming this is the conceit of the whole show, where it's warping back and forth between warping. It's basically going back and forth between like present day. There's like almost two, or I think there's like three, maybe four different time periods.
A
I
lot of
guess
time
three different
jumps,
time
yeah.
periods. But it's sort of like jumping back and forth between the two main characters when they were children, in their young adulthood, and then like modern present day, which at present day is like early 2000s. Huh. So I like that as an idea, particularly because like you can. This is I'm assuming again the conceit of the show is sort of like giving you different like thematic, like I don't want to say like lessons per se, but because this show is not teaching any lessons, that's for damn sure. Um, Except for maybe toxicity. There's like the differences between like the different like themes of like what you're learning at when you're a child of this particular idea or concept or thought versus when you're like learning it or relearning it again as an adult. And there's like aspects of that that I really liked,
Hmm.
that I think can work really well in good television. I don't. I'm not convinced that this is particularly adept at it, because I remembered the first few times we were jumping back and forth, I was like, What's going on?" I was like, "Why are
Yep.
we doing this? Like,
Yep.
what's the point of us doing this?"
Well, not only
Um,
that, in the beginning, especially, I was like really trying to find my bearings here. I'm like, what?
yeah,
Who is who right now? You really got to
yeah,
find, and then you like eventually get it. But they kind of throw a bunch of people at you in different time periods, and it's like you got to get it adjusted to them quick. But you know, yeah. So in the concept, I don't mind the time jumping and all that. I think where the execution doesn't work as strong for me is it's a lot of like very on the nose cliche stuff like
oh my god,
like
so
we have
bad.
here we have the awkward less um stereotypically sought after girl, and then we have
She has literally the largest
the largest
glasses of all
glasses you've ever
time.
seen. And then you have the hot girl. They literally called her hot girl in one of the teen year ones, who just gets all the boys she wants, and you get the cut from like the teen years until now, and it's like the same old story. You know, she's a celebrity, got this nice house, getting all the guys, all that.
Which is like, that's not always. I mean, like, I get it for like storytelling purposes. That's the idea, and I think this is based on a book from memory from what the credits said, like a book series or something. So, or maybe even based on memoirs. I don't know. It said something like that, but. So is that? But that can be the case. Yes, it is the case in reality, where it's like the wallflower weirdo girl still is the wallflower weirdo girl even when she's older.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the quirky one, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, yeah, lots of. I'm gonna say, like, honestly, like, most of the time this stuff doesn't. Maybe no, that's not true. It does actually bother me. I don't like, so like, shows that tend to stereotype a lot. Men are basically one use and one use only in this entire show, and that is their penises. They're walking penises, and that's all they're really good for.
Yeah.
I understand, like, some of it has to do with like audience and POV, right? So like POV is obviously it's a women's point of view show. Like, this is not my point of view. So I get that. And because I think of a show like Boy Meets World, show I think about a lot. With the podcast actively going on, I rewatch that show all the time. Very much a male point of view. They had all male writers, and it does live into that conceit of it being about male POV. So
it's the boy.
While women characters are, I would say, like, fleshed out better than you might necessarily think from that concept, they're still like, they're not like the most interesting, I guess, overall. Like, and and that's, I think, one of the weaknesses of the show. But keeping it in tension that it is a male point of view a lot of the time of the whole show. That, like, some of that I can kind of like look aside and kind of just like ignore. This one I couldn't really quite ignore it because it was just like that's literally what one of the characters says. Think of all the new penises you're gonna meet.
Right. Well, I did write that down. So, you've had the same man and the same penis for 15 years. Just think of all the new penises you're about to meet. But yeah, it is all women focused. So
but that's not really like,
that's their perspective. That's these two characters' perspective.
Yeah, this is these two characters' perspective. But I was like,
that. I mean, the woman. Tully Hart. Clearly, she's like, she's here for the penises. You know.
She's here. Well, yeah, we see her. We see a hookup. That's one of the most awkward.
Hooked up with a guy, and she said, "I don't do second dates." Just like
that was a second dates. It's like, what do you mean second dates? You literally just bang that guy in like 5 minutes. It was also like a fully clothed hookup. It was very weird.
Yeah, just right there.
It's just like,
he even said, "Oh, we didn't even make it to the bedroom." It's like, oh, I liked it, but I like how. I don't know. You immediately, you're not exactly. I don't feel like you're supposed to like this character. I don't. It's weird to me that the pitch of the show is that it's these two best friends, and like that's the whole show. It's focused. You look at the marketing; it's all those two. So it's like, after this episode, I'm like, what? They need to give up on this friendship. But I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to. That's what I want to know. Is that, like, I don't necessarily know if the show is outright saying that she's. This is where my problem comes in. I think with the show is that, like, I don't know if there's necessarily saying that she's like a bad person for being this way, because it's like, oh, her upbringing was really tough, and I was yeah, but she's still a grown woman. She doesn't have to be this way. You're not completely. You don't have to be that kind of a person for
like not
the rest
caring
of your life.
about their feelings and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
cold. Yeah. And that's like kind of like one of the least, like, her, just that lifestyle is fine, whatever. Get all the penises. She
Hmm.
doesn't like, she obviously takes issue with the same penis for 15 years. So just get as many penises as you want.
See
Diversity in
that.
penises, young penises. That's for sure.
Well, we see her get young. That's the thing. We
Young
see her get
penises.
young penis in this
Yeah.
movie, in this episode.
But I mean, there's more egregious things I think she does in this episode, but it's like then the end. Well, let's just go right to the end. It's the soapiest part, man. They really
Oh
hit you
yeah.
with the Kate Malarkey's ex-husband shows up at the door saying, "I've made my six my whole life. My whole life's been a mistake." She's like, "Go back to your husband, Johnny." And he's like, "I don't," or "Go back to your wife, Johnny. I don't have a wife."
Yeah.
And then, "Can I just spend the night here with you?" And then it's like, okay, what's going on there? And then cut to, she signed this. Okay, this is this whole shenanigans. A lot of soapiness right at the end to really try to get you into to come back.
Yeah. So the whole thing there is it was cutting back and forth between. I liked it was very soapy, but yeah, I liked the cutting back and forth between her like stealing who would become her husband from her, like when they were young, and then her stealing like that guy who was like into her,
Yeah.
like in the present day.
Yep. She always
And
gets
it's
the
just
guy.
like she just always gets the guy.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just kind of gross. It's just gross. It makes you feel gross. I was just like, do you think about your friend for like more than 30 seconds at a time? Because it doesn't seem like you do.
So it's weird because Tully like sticks up for Kate in different times, talking to the daughter. She's like, she's the kindest woman I've ever met and all that. But then you find out that she had. Okay, first of all, the daughter comes to her mom's best friend,
Yeah.
Tully, and says, "I want to go to Planned Parenthood." Or no, she went to Planned Parenthood.
Right, because she's trying to get on.
She wants to get on the pill because everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it, and I just want to get on it. So she goes there, but you need to get a signature, and her mom will never do it. Right? Can you just sign it for me?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Not happening." And she's like, "Well, what if I promise I'll tell her if I'm thinking about having sex, then I'll tell her, you know?" And she's like, "Yeah, in your dreams." Meanwhile, cut away, and we'll come back to later. Anyway. She did do it.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay.
So that's like, all right. That's a little dirty.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
That's messed up.
Maybe you should. This is a little messed up. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's your best friend's kid.
Yeah, and the daughter, she's like also like a cliche troubled teen because of a divorce.
She's like 13, 14 or something, right?
Yeah.
She's like I think she's still in middle school. So yeah, she's like what? She's got to be like 13 or 14 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and she's the stereotypical like, I'm a teenager.
Yeah, but it's really there's more meaning behind it because their household was thrown into turmoil because of a divorce, you know?
Right.
So because of this has effects on her.
This ugly divorce, yeah.
But all that being said, like, it seems kind of unfounded that her mom is like some bitch, and you never really get any hint of that. Like, I don't think we ever saw her being mean to her even once. Like,
no,
one mean thing.
Not at all. She's being like a pretty standard mom, like.
So she's like purely hostile because she's not getting back with her dad. That's like all it is.
Yeah, it's like being this mom and the most stereotypical mom thing where it's like, oh, the teacher says you've missed all these things. How'd you do this? It's like I've seen this thing, like, I haven't even watched soap operas and I've seen stuff like this like a million times. So it was just like, it didn't really do anything like overly unique or original with any of the ideas other than the time jumping, which is, again, other shows have sort of done that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that. I like when it tries to do shows try to do something a little different to sort of set itself apart.
Yeah, it does an interesting thing where it's like super bright when you're in the past.
Mm.
When you go to the flashback, that's how you can kind of tell immediately. It's super bright colors.
Yeah.
And
very
so,
very soft lighting palettes as well.
And that's
I think that's the whole Firefly Lane idea, maybe.
Yeah, and it's like the 60s or something. What is it?
Mm-hmm. It's like this. It's like the 70s.
70s.
It's like 70s, 80s. Yeah, it's like right around that period.
And then, so like that was initially when I first saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I don't like how this looks. Like if this whole show is gonna look like this." And it's like, okay, it's just to distinguish it in the past, but
yeah,
still not really a fan of the look, like the super blown out, overexposed look. But
yeah, they cranked that up to 11. They probably should have held back. I think they're trying to make it look like it was like images from the 70s, I guess, but it just didn't really. Sometimes it doesn't really translate well when you're doing it in high definition,
And I don't blame them because, I probably would have gotten lost because I was definitely lost in the beginning trying to keep track of the different timelines. So that was definitely needed at that point. So I knew where we were at every time we cut to that. But yeah, so Tully is the host of the Girlfriend Hour. You love it. Everybody loves the show. A lot of fans. The Girlfriend Hour.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently she's got people coming up to her all the time being like, I'm a big fan. I mean, then the guy she hooks up with is like, yeah, I was a big fan. I grew up watching your show.
I grew up watching your show. That was crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. That's...
The ultimately end with Goodbye Yellow Brick Road playing by Elton John. And I'm trying to... What is the meaning of Hello Yellow Brick Road? What do you think that means for the episode? What are they trying to get across? Hello Yellow Brick Road.
I don't know. Well, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is supposed to be about like the disillusionment of like fantasy and childhood, right? So is Hello Yellow Brick Road supposed to be like a because the past is still like having an effect on the present, and we're getting illuminated of the present by the past. Maybe they're trying to like say something with like see how these events and things that happened here have led to this here now. And it's like maybe it has something to do with that.
Right. That's probably.
I will say Tully's mom. Everything about her mom. I thought that was going to be like way more. I mean, that was like I thought there was going to be like way more about that relationship, and I guess technically speaking, that is a significant portion of the of this episode. But
she goes by Cloud.
I was just oh yeah, she goes by Cloud now or whatever. It's so weird.
She's on drugs or whatever. But
yeah, she's on drugs and or is like mentally just unwell.
Yeah, so she's surprisingly chill. I feel like every interaction that she has, like she's just like, "Goodbye, cool neighbor girl," or whatever. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
At least it's not like a complete wreck, like off the handle. But I don't know.
I will say the next episode preview said something effective like an outrage, something about like a vicious assault, and I was like, oh my god, are we going like we're going to like a rape? This gonna happen next episode? It's like I'm not okay with. I don't think I want to watch that. But
and in 17 Firefly Lane is where Tully and her lived in when she was like the teenager.
Right.
So that's Firefly Lane.
So that's the name of the road. Yeah. Okay. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
The whole intrigue of going into more episodes is at the end. What do you think is going on here? Was she involved with her best friend's husband? You think?
I think it's hard for me to say because they kept it vague. I'm gonna say that he and her like had a thing. When they were, I think, as we sort of saw in that flashback, they had like a thing. They had a lot of chemistry. I'm gonna say that there was like some back and forth dating between him and her, like,
and he regrets not
when they were working in the office, and then he ended up getting married to
Kate.
to Kate.
He regrets it, and he regrets.
But he regrets that, even though he's had a kid with her. I don't know. I guess he
can't catch a break. She can't get a single W. Yeah. Even when we thought in the end she got this guy, at least it's like no. He even regrets going with her. Wish she went with the The popular girl. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's that's what I mean. Like,
I'm just saying, for this show to continue with this dynamic, it's got to be like
Tallulah's just the most toxic person. Like, she's just not.
But there's got to be something
to her friend,
like she didn't they weren't cheating or anything. There's got to be at least like they're trying to give you an indication that there was some wrongdoing. But yeah, like we said, it's just like he regrets not going with her.
Yeah, but then he's still trying to be like.
Because otherwise, I'd be like, man, we really can't commit to this friendship at all. Like,
yeah. She's just snaking her man. She just snakes her man. If you see it now, like apparently almost 3 times in this episode, the same man twice, possibly. I guess you'd have to watch the next episode to find out if that's actually what happened. But, yeah.
Somehow it's gonna work out, though. I mean, and this is just the first episode. How much more conflict they're gonna get into across 2 seasons? Just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's just probably just one thing after the other. Yeah, I don't know. I will say, scenes that I enjoyed. I did like the awkward scene between Kate and the guy who she was interested in when she's like buying lingerie.
Yeah.
The guy just like walks up to her there, and I was like, okay, sir, why would you do that?
Just saying hi.
He's just saying hi, I guess. Maybe he didn't realize what section he was in. That's kind of actually that tracks. That tracks. I thought that was funny. I did actually also like this cougar romance between the kid and her. I was like, this is more that dynamic is like way more interesting to me than
which
like
cougar
anything
romance?
else. Tully and that guy, the hookup guy.
Oh, the hookup.
Who's like he's like shooting his shot. Like I'm more interested in that. Like they have like way more chemistry together than like anyone else in the whole show.
And the Krispy Kreme donuts.
The Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah.
Right.
So,
but there's no way that goes anywhere, right?
No,
gotta get more
they can't.
penises.
There's no way. Yeah, I mean, maybe not. Maybe she likes this young,
or freaking
young dong.
Enter
Maybe
Johnny Ryan, ex-husband Johnny Ryan.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is one thing that I had a huge problem with, by the way.
Yeah.
In the flashback scene, we're in a news agency or whatever in the like I don't know 70s, 80s, whatever this is. Yeah. So I think I think that's supposed to be in the 80s.
Probably 80s. Yeah.
He has his wardrobe and his entire like look is all wrong.
Right.
He does not look like he's from the 80s. He looks like he's straight out of like a catalog from 2010. Yeah. I was like that's everything about him looks wrong. Like it doesn't look right. like he need to have like longer hair. His hair was way too like it says it was like long-ish, but it was like really too short. It was like long hair was like that's like a big 80s thing. You're gonna have long hair. His facial hair, he had like way too much like 5 o'clock shadow scruff, and I was like, some guys rocked that in that period of time, but they're usually like that does not fit that. If you're a news anchor, he's gotta have like the really nice trimmed, like really he's got a full beard, he's sexy, he's got this long hair, flowing hair, and he's got this really nice, well kept facial hair. And it looked all wrong to me. It just looked all wrong, and I was like, "That's."
You think the women watching this show are just all into him, all into Johnny Ryan?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
We'll see. As like, we won't see, but
we will. I mean,
but
that does beg the question.
It's like I'm saying, if you move forward into the show.
Yeah.
You have to see, like, if he's like a good guy. We don't even know. Like he's regretting this whole time.
Yeah.
With Kate, apparently, seemingly. I don't know. All right.
Well, but just beg the question, though, Zach. Where are you feeling on this rating on our rating scale here?
It's tough because this show is not for me. It's really not. It's a soap opera type show. Mm-hmm. It's very soapy. And I can watch an episode here or there just because of how dramatic like they tend to be. I love that, just it's fun. It's funny to watch, but
Yeah, I found so like because like I grew up, and my mom liked watching a few of them. Like I think Days of Our Lives and probably Young and the Restless. Some of the I think were two of the ones that I seem to
Right.
remember. Her watching, and it was just she would never admit probably that she like really enjoyed it, but it was just like trash that was easy to occupy your mind
It's kind of like
to. You know, it's
wrestling.
just like
Kind of get it satisfies the same things. It's like a new people
yeah,
enter the mix, and it's
there's
like, oh, I slept with your
I
wife. But
yeah,
little did you know, I had this kid, and yeah,
there's a certain primalness to the sort of energy behind like the writing of a soap opera and the writing of you're so right. You that's actually really pretty accurate.
and depending on how
Um,
unhinged it is, it can certain soap operas
yeah,
would be like I'm gonna poison my husband, like that type of shit
yeah,
too.
oh yeah,
Like,
oh yeah. Well, there's a bunch of ones. There's like characters on some of them that have like died and come back to life like 3 or 4 times. It's like Stefano
crazy.
or something. I know he's a character on one of them. He's like died like twice and come back to life.
So of course,
So it's like
to be fair to Firefly Lane, a lot more grounded than most
yeah,
soap operas. You know, it's not just a
yeah.
straight soap opera. It's like,
Hmm.
but it just has that
So
feel, that
a
vibe.
drop a soap drama soap drama.
Drop, drop, dropera. Yeah.
It's a dropera.
So it's
Soap
hard for me to
dropper.
place this.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning towards the I wouldn't go out of my way to get more, but I might have some of this around. Honestly, it's like I didn't find it like overly it's not my show for sure. Like this is not this kind of stuff I really like to watch. But
You don't need to know what happens next.
I don't really need to know what happens next. I think I got pretty much I think I got my idea, my fill. But like I don't know if someone else is watching it, I'd be like, oh, well, you know, I think I've seen an episode of the show. You know, see, like, toss it on. Someone's watching it, and be like, oh
So
yeah.
you putting it right in the middle of that tier? I'm thinking right.
I
I'm
think
thinking
mine's towards the
bottom.
bottom of that. It's the bottom of that tier. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely the bottom of that tier because like it's not. Again, it's not. It's really not my thing. I'm not like. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm so excited now this is on. Like, oh, that's cool. And I'd be like, oh, this is on. Yeah, it was kind of all right, I guess. But I might
Yeah.
like stick around for a few minutes to like kind of see get the idea what's
'Cause
happening.
it really has to be just actively on around me. I'm not gonna go out of my way to
Yeah.
watch another episode. So we're both right at the bottom of we
Yeah.
wouldn't go out of our way to get more, but if it's
Yeah.
around, we'd have some. Now is that I was always thinking like if we both had it in the green, we'd be say it's cleared for takeoff. If it's both in the red, we can generally say it's a flight risk. Now what's the yellow even mean? It's got some turbulence. We've got some
Yeah.
turbulence on our hands.
Turbulence.
It's a,
Turbulence.
a lot of turbulence on
Might
this flight.
and you might have to turn around. You might have to land. You might have to ground the plane.
Hmm.
You know, ground the plane. So
All right, it's got some turbulence to it, but you know it's survivable. It's you can survive it.
yeah,
You know,
maybe you're late to your flight. That happened to me.
The metaphors are just all over the place. We're being
Yeah.
late to the flight.
Yeah.
It's food.
Yeah.
We're on the flight.
We're on the flight. We're getting served.
All right. Well, I was thinking. I meant to ask you before starting this. Do we want to pick what our next one will be when we get to it, just to have a tease of what the next thing be, or do we want to just leave it off and then come back with a random show?
I think we should leave the people wanting more. I think.
Well, that could be interpreted either way.
Oh yeah, I guess it could be. Tease it. Whet their
Tease it?
appetite for what comes next. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not something we dread and we just never want to do it. Though
Maybe
we have to force ourselves to do it.
uh,
So on the board we have Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime Video, Max, Paramount Plus, and Hulu. It could be something from any of these options. Queued up next. So unlike like a chance time, this isn't next week. It's just kind of the next slot. This will be the upcoming flight. We just don't have a departure time just yet for you. Yeah. So
there it is.
our next Palate episode will be on Luva de Pedrero, Viral Moves. All right. It's apparently a documentary about a football or soccer player, social media phenom.
Slash
You
social
said?
media. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this just
Apparently so.
dropped, hot off the presses. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I mean, it's not going to be hot off the presses when we watch it,
Yeah.
but
Okay, well, that's something we've never dabbled in.
no, a docu series. I mean, the only documentary we've done two, and they've both been kind of not piles of
No,
crap.
we did High Score. No, we did High Score.
Oh, High Score. Yeah, you're right. That's right. I shouldn't discount High Score. High
I
Score
was
is
more
really
so
good.
saying I don't think we've done anything sports related in any way.
No, not at all. That actually might be kind of a fun little.
Yeah, I don't know shit about soccer. I don't.
Yeah. Well, hey.
All
This
right,
might be
well,
a
that's
good
it.
way to
Wow,
get
that's
acquainted.
very different than Firefly Lane right there. It's
Yeah.
available on Max. All right. So you'll see when it drops. You know what time it is. Lua de Pedrero.
Yeah.
All right. So let us know your
Good
thoughts.
stuff.
If you've watched Firefly Lane, episode 1, what did you think?
Was there? Yeah, maybe if you, for whatever reason you've come across this video, and you've watched the whole show, and you're watching two guys talking about it, like if there's something we missed, if there's something appealing about the show that you found, yeah, let us know in the comments. Thanks for sticking around this long.
Yeah.
And listen to us talk about it.
Absolutely. And spoil the whole show for us while you're at it. I'd love to know what's some crazy stuff that happened.
Yeah, yeah, really.
I want to know all the beats. And where do we end up with these two characters at the end? Because it lasted 2 seasons. I don't know if it was canceled and never got to resolve, or if we got a good ending or whatever. So, all right. Thank you for watching. Right. If you enjoyed this video, what video should our viewers watch next?
Go watch our review of The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah, check that review out.
We're all about women's perspectives here.
That's right.
And that's what we
see, that one has a really good women's perspective. Oh, yeah. I think that's
one of the best women's perspectives. One of our favorite women's perspectives. Yeah.
One of the best. One of my favorites. Women's perspectives. Period.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a good one though.
Until next time, subscribe to the channel for more. Like the video, leave a comment, and take care of yourself. All right.